Welcome to DCL Talk Show on DCLRadio. Today, instead of me, we have a great gentleman who is well known for hosting a lot of shows in Detroit. Avinash is going to take over as host today. So I'll hand over the mic to him. Welcome to the show, Avinash.
Thank you so much, Jagan, for that very warm welcome. And hello and good evening and welcome all of you to the DCL Talk Show on DCL Radio. Like Jagan mentioned, you're going to have, this is Avinash from Team Pokeries, and it's me that you have to put up with for the next 1 hour, along with some of my really good friends here who are analysts for tonight. So at the outset, I apologize for the slightly delayed start. Some of our panelists were also occupied. So joining us tonight on our show is going to be our regular astute analyst, Imtiaz, aka Imti from Lagos. And he's going to be joined by not one, but two special guest analysts, Abhishek Sunkari from Team Indus Bolts and Satish Gaba from Team Knight Riders CC or KRCC as we refer to them. So welcome all of you guys. I'm not sure if Imti is here yet, but at least at the outset, Abhishek, your opening words, please. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for inviting me, Avi and Jagan. It's good to be back in Detroit and then getting back to DCL and then finally coming into the DCL Talk Show. I've been waiting for this moment for the last 2 years. I've been following the radio for the last 2 years from Chennai. And I've always been a big fan of this league. And I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be the analyst tonight. So I hope I do a good job. Over to you, Avi.
Oh, I'm absolutely confident you'll do a great job. And then, of course, we do have Satish Gaba, and it's a bit weird for me to call him as Satish because from the time I've known him, I've always called him Gabaji. So, Gabaji, namaste, welcome to the show and your opening remarks.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Avi bhai and Jagan bhai for inviting me for this show. This is my first time doing this. So I hope I'll try to do my best here, being an analyst here, and I hope all the listeners will enjoy our show today.
Oh, thank you so much, Gabaji, and I'm sure you guys will do a great job tonight. And before we go into the analysis for the previous week's games, I'd like to, at the outset, like Jagan does, thank all the umpires who umpired the games last weekend. As most of us realize, but pretend not to sometimes, umpiring is a thankless job. And for those of you that have kids, you'll know that managing kids is quite a tough task. But here you have to manage adults who often behave like kids. So it's quite challenging. So for all the complaints we may have occasionally against them, the umpires, I think, do a great job. So thank you very much, all of you guys, for taking the time out and doing this. So with that, since we've already had a late start and most of our listeners are waiting for a while, we'll do the analysis of the previous week games. Before that, Imti, are you on? Looks like he's not yet. So I guess we'll start off with Abhi. I believe the first game that we're going to talk about is Dark Horses versus Safaris. So
thank you, Avi.
Yep.
So coming to this game, team, I just felt like, of course, looking at the scoreboard, the Dark Horses have achieved one of the highest scores in the DCL ever scored, probably right after Pokeries are probably the top 5 scores that have been scored so far. Looking at the batting, Krunal, Rahul, Pankaj, my God, these guys, they look awesome. And the scorecard of Dark Horses, it's a dream scorecard for any DCL team that you want to see. Having 250s in the top and another 30, that's an amazing achievement. I would say it's really good for the team, Dark Horses, to have a game like this. The confidence levels that they go in for going further into the league, it will be amazing. And going for the bowling, I feel that the Safaris have tried every other bowler, and probably around, I see that they've bowled about 9 bowlers, and nothing went their way. It's a tough day for them. It probably was a tough day for them. They must have had a lot of discussions of what went wrong, what went right, and I would just say, for them, it's just a game that they can just forget and then move on to the league. Going a bit details into this game that I see that I like to look in the game as is, the key point for the Dark Horses was they went with no loss at the 12 overs mark when they had 56 on board. And imagine you have a team having 56 runs and not losing any wicket, close to around five, with having a 5 run rate. So imagine the confidence or the game plan that they would go for the next 13 overs. So probably that actually helped them a lot, and I see that they went ahead having over 90-run partnership for the opening wicket, and then they just went ahead and then blasted off the batting lineup. So you see that the first 12 overs they played very cautiously. They got a very decent score on the board, and after that they went ahead to increase the run rate slowly, and then finally they're getting that number of 179 for losing just 3 wickets. Again, a big applause for the two batsmen who scored 50. Amazing achievement for them, and I hope they go forward and keep scoring that runs they have. And coming to the bowling, like I mentioned, that they have tried everything, nothing went their way. So for the Safaris, it was a tough day. Coming back to the Safaris batting lineup, I felt that they were already under pressure when they had 180 on board to chase, and on top of that, losing a couple of wickets initially, and then having maiden overs bowled in between, and then the run rate creeping up for every over that they've played. Took a lot of pressure on the Safaris, and probably they couldn't execute their plan, whatever they wanted to do with. But having that 180 target on board was probably blocking them out with whatever plans they wanted to execute, and they constantly kept losing wickets. They just lost 3 wickets at the 12 overs though, but at 32 runs, they still had around 150 runs or 140 runs to chase in the 13 overs. So hard luck for them. A good game to watch from the outside. It's a one-sided game though, but very good game for dark horses. Safaris, a game to forget. Go forward with the same confidence that you came in before this game. It's a long league. You can get back into this league again.
Very well said, Avi. I guess it's a much needed win for Dark Horses as well, right? They've been a bit beleaguered with the loss of a few players, so I'm sure this would have hopefully injected some much needed motivation for those guys. And like you said,
definitely.
And like you said, Safari's long way to go. Hang in there. You guys can do this. So next up, we have Satish analyzing strikers versus FPC Agni.
Yeah, Hari, thank you. So FPC Agni versus striker. I think last week this was the game that everybody might have looked forward to. At least check the scorecard. Very close competition. That at least I thought about it, but it turned out to be a one-sided game. FPC Agni, Ramesh is leading FPC Agni, and I think he's very intelligent and experienced for the DCL game. He got the toss and elected to bat first, which was very normal. And FCC Agni started really, really good when they started batting. Everybody, at least in this ball, everybody when they start to choose to bat first, at least they want 3-digit figure in their board. And I think they had the same plan. They started really good. Avinash started really good, 29 runs, 24 balls, really good. And if you see 8.3 overs, FCC Agni was 50 runs, 2 wickets down, and they ended up with 74 all out. I think this is the major setback for the FCC Agni. They were easily looking for 120 plus, 8.3 overs, 50 runs, 2 wickets, but complete middle order collapsed for them. I think some credit we have to give to the striker bowlers also. Adit, Ritain, they bowled really good. Adit got 4 wickets, Ritain got 3 wickets. And if you see the figures, Adit and Ritain bowled really good after 12 overs. So first spell was for the FCC Agni where they were all close to 57 runs, and after that, the next segment of the game for the first inning, they got all out in 74, almost 17 runs, 8 wickets. Credit goes to Adit and Ritain for the first inning, and then 74 on board. It is not that easy in DCL, but relatively easy. But striker batsman made it very easy. Parag 29 runs, Kishore 26 runs, and they just got this win for the 9 wickets. Including that, FCC Agni is one of the experienced team. When they have 74 on the board, they give 17 wides and 2 no balls. 19 extra runs when they are defending 74 runs. So I think it's not FCC Agni day that day. That's what I think. Another thing about the FCC Agni. FCC Agni has played, I think, 4 games, I believe, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and they lost 2 games, and they lost 2 games, and they played 2 good games in their pool. Am I Ranger and Striker? They got both the lost. Ramesh is my good friend. I think they have a really good unit. I have played with most of their players alongside, and they have a capability. I think they will bounce back. Ramesh sir, get the team on the track. That's it for my side for FCC Agni versus Striker.
Absolutely, you're right. And it's a measure of how much our league has changed over the last 2 years with the change on the ball, right? I mean, where 74 at one time was a very good score and a very dependable score, and now it takes a lot of effort to defend that. And so, yeah, it's nicely done. So, the next game of the night is Gladiators versus MI Rangers. I'm not sure if Imtiaz is on the line yet. So if he isn't, I guess I'll try and move on as best as I can for him. So I was talking to the MI Rangers captain Shravan because we happened to work together, and he was obviously pretty distraught because looks like MI Rangers did put up a pretty good show, at least initially when they were bowling. Gladiators were pretty much a big string side, and they batted first. And the MI Rangers bowling unit actually managed to restrict them to only 98, which is pretty much chaseable in today's changed times that we were just talking about. And apart from the Rangers bowlers did strike a big blow first up. They got tired out on the second ball, and so that would have been a big psychological blow for the lads, even though they have plenty of depth to their batting. And which basically manifested itself in after that. It was a good 34-run partnership between Ronak and the new Glads recruit Shanawaz, formerly from TC Stallions, who we all know is a really good player. So, and after that, there was some handy contributions, of course, from one of the best players in the league, Arjun Advani, and Kishan Kaneganti as well, and Jeet at the very end chipping in with 10, which kind of was brought to my notice by Shravan when we were talking. He said they still felt they were in control, but then Jeet provided that last flourish with his 10 runs, including a 6. And sometimes it's that last bit, if you lose it, that's where sometimes it can bog you down mentally. And it looks like that's what happened to the Rangers unit because, again, their batting unit started off well, but I have a feeling, and I'll be very happy if they prove me wrong going forward, but they seem to be overly reliant on Avinash. And again, he justified that reputation of his by scoring 24 and putting on quite a decent partnership with Vedansan and pretty much 33 runs, which is similar to what the lads put on initially, despite losing size. But then after that, if you see the scorecard, it's just a continual possession of wickets after they lost Abhi, and they pretty much weren't even in the game after that, and that's where the Glad's experience and skill came to the fore. I mean, very totally led by Satya, obviously, who himself is a very good bowler as well as an all-rounder. And MI Rangers, I think, has blew a very good chance to beat last year's champions, and they pretty much unfolded for 57. So I'd say good performance. I wish they had closed this out, and I think a chance blown by the MI Rangers team. So next up, I guess, Abhi, it's your call. Listen. Abhishek, you there?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute, Avinash. Thank you. Okay. So I'll be talking about the Kings 11 and the Legends game. So before I go into this game, to all the listeners, I know most of you know that there is this new restaurant called Authentica that opened up in Canton. So I would like to encourage everyone to go and visit and have a proper lunch, dinner, whatever works out for you. Visit this restaurant soon, and you could actually refer the DCL Talk Show, and then probably get 10% for all the listeners here, 10% off on your final check. So again, like I said, please do visit this restaurant Authentica. It's one of my close friends who actually opened, a known friend who actually opened this restaurant. Just wanted to slip it in this radio talk show.
Thank you for doing that. I'd also like to thank the proprietors of the restaurant for offering to do that. That's great.
Yep. So coming back into this game again, this is the Kings 11 Detroit versus the Legends team. Legends, as we all know, has an amazing bowling attack. That probably one of the best bowling attacks in the league that they come in with, and then the Kings 11 Detroit had a pretty tough bowling that they had to face. Legends were with this game result, the Legends are still yet to be beaten in this league yet. So that's going to be interesting. We're probably going to coming up with interesting matches coming forward. But in this game, I feel that the Kings 11 couldn't face up with the Legends bowling attack that they had. Sunil Adonda from Kings probably put up a good fight with 11 runs scoring of 22 balls. But Vamshi and Prashant with decent 5 and 4. But after that was a total collapse from the Kings 11 batting order. So they have about 4 or 5 zeros that were scored, or probably literally no runs scored of them. So that probably hurt the Kings 11 Detroit scoring, by which they ended up putting only 43 on board. If you see the over comparison, they almost lost about 8 wickets within the first 12 overs. So that's really not. I'm sure the Kings 11 Detroit captain was really not happy with that effort or whatever they put in, no matter how good the bowling attack is. So again, going back to their Kings 11 or the Legends bowling score sheet, they're pretty decent with whoever was given the ball. I know most of them didn't even get to complete their full quota of overs. But one thing on the downside for the Legends is the conceding about 10 extras within the 43 runs. For their bowling attack or for their standard of bowling, I think 10 extras is a bit too much for them because of the high standards that they set up in the league. While coming back to the batting for the Legends, they didn't have much on board to score, but they made sure that they take their own time to get this score. Because we've played a game against the Legends, they attack pretty well. But I was kind of surprised they took 12 overs to score 49 runs. But I think they're playing a bit defensive here, taking their own time to get in. Praveen probably got out a bit early, Praveen and Venkat, with Rahul and Harish putting in 14 and 12 on board. We got them there with the 6 extras conceded by the Kings 11 here again. The bowling department of Kings 11 didn't have much to do because they didn't have a big score to defend. Pretty hard on them again here. But yet, the Deepak and Gautam, they tried conceding as much less runs as they can. But yet, at the end of the day, it's Legends who won the game once on pretty comfortably. So keeping Legends again, like they're still unbeaten in this league. It's going to be an interesting team, interesting games to watch out in the coming days for Legends. Kings 11, again, like I said, it's a long league. Come back strong. You already have 6 points on board. Work out your strategies. Think about what do you call strengths your team has, and probably concentrate on that for the next wins or the next games.
Well said. And like you mentioned, I think it's the Legends bowling really that has done the job this time around, because if you see, even the wickets have been shared pretty evenly, right, between Sunkari, Venu, Praveen, and Anant. So overall, a pretty comprehensive bowling performance I would expect from a lineup like that.
Yeah.
So nice.
One point to add more here. They bowled about 12 overs, which is close to around 18 overs, which is close to around maybe 120 or 130 balls, of which there 84 of them were dot balls. So imagine the line and length that these guys bowled and the number of dot balls they conceded. That's really good actually on the Legends side. So that's the reason I keep telling that this is probably one of the best bowling sides in the league right now.
That's a great observation. See, that's why we'd like to have folks like you on the show here. But that's a very astute observation. The other thing I noticed even in the Gladiators game, the number of, if the scorecard was entered correctly, the number of catches that Kishan's taken in their game, and I think Kishan is their wicket keeper. So despite the fact that the Glads conceded 9 wides, for a large part they still need the batsman play, which is essentially what you need in a game, in a T-ball game, right, with the narrow wide limits that we have. Right. So that's an excellent observation. So I guess next up we bring back in Gabaji, who is going to be analyzing DCL Stallions versus Falcons, I believe.
Yes, Avi. So TCS Stallion versus Falcon. First thing, I think I was just following the other radio program, DCL program. TCS Stallion was one of my favorite, at least of all the DCLs I have played. This TCS Stallion was my top five teams. Like whenever I have to rank, they were top five. And this year, I think because some of key players have moved out, they are struggling really, really hard. This is the fourth consecutive loss for them. So TCS Stallion versus Falcon, I think everybody predicted it would be a one-sided game, but it turned out to be a nail-biting contest. TCS Stallion won the toss and elected to bat, but they were only able to manage 39 runs, got all out in 17 overs itself. They did not get a good start from top orders, like many ducks from the top orders. Only Krishna was able to manage double-digit score, like 12 runs. That's it from the TCS Stallion batting side. Maqsood Hussain from the Falcon, he bowled, I think, really, really good. He got 5 overs, 2 maiden, just 3 runs and 5 wickets. Amazing, I think. Amazing bowling, I believe.
Wow. Yeah.
And then Falcon got 40 runs to defend and see what happened. They lost 8 wickets.
Right.
Yeah, they were able to manage with the bonus point, but I think I was thinking it will be very impressive win for them. But they were able to just got the game again for the same thing for them. They could not get a good start. Top order got failed completely. Too many ducks at the top order, and nobody in Falcons team got into double digits. Okay, and again I think Maqsood really did a good from the batting also. He got 7 runs. He played 36 balls and get 7 crucial run, I believe. At that time, I think that 7 run made the Falcon win for that game. And I think other than that, from the TCS Stallion side, I think we have to give some credit to TCS Stallion bowlers also. Devant, Arshad, Krishna, Devant bowled 4 overs, 7 runs, 3 wickets. Arshad 5 overs, 2 maiden, 8 runs, 2 wickets. And Krishna 2 wickets. So I think these bowlers made TCS Stallion alive in that game to at least defend 39 runs, and they got 8 wickets. I think here Falcon has to worry a little bit because they just chasing 39 runs. They should not struggle this much against a team which is already struggling in this contest. That's it from my side, Avi, for TCS Stallion and Falcon game.
True, that's a very good point because these kind of games are great entertainment for all of us. I mean, I was actually there at the ground when I was seeing this, and I just walked over to say hi to Venkat Padnala, who was there. I hadn't seen him for a while. You couldn't even tell from their body language what the situation was. I thought they're just on their way to an easy win, and then I walk over to the other side. The Legends had won their game by the time, and they were like, "Hey, Avi, we just stay here because they're 8 down." I'm like, "What are you talking about? 8 down? They're just chasing 40." So, and you couldn't even tell from the body language. But like you said, Maqsood, absolute champion. I saw him a few years ago in Mishka, and he's pretty much a Mishka legend. I mean, I have actually faced him, and I was all at sea. The guy is a phenomenal bowler, and the fact that he's able to replicate the same kind of performance after all these years in a completely different format with a completely different ball, that tells you how great a player he is. And like you said, even with the bat, he's the one that did the job and got them home safe. So yes, a lot of thinking for Falcons to do, but I think individually it was a great job by Maqsood Bhai. Next up, I guess we have Imti on the line. Welcome to the show, Imti.
Hey, thanks, Ravi, and I would like to apologize for the delay in joining the show. I would like to welcome Abhishek and Satish. Welcome to the show, and it was nice listening to you guys for a short bit just when I joined. So welcome to the show, and welcome to all the listeners again.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Imti. We always love having you on here, and we're glad you're here. And I guess you get to start off with what I think I can politely put it was a massacre. Tamil Pasanga ran into an absolutely rampaging Indus.
Yeah, I think in this game, Indus Thunders pretty much like it was a one-sided game all through the entire 50-over duration, because Indus Thunders winning the toss, they elected to bat and they just put up a huge, massive score of 177. I think one of the highest scores in this season. It should be in the top 2 or top 3 highest scores, if I believe. so again, like their opening was just awesome combination between Manoj and Chetan. They put up 45 runs for the first wicket before Manoj fell, but then Chetan did not stop there, and he went on to score a massive 75. 75 in DCL is almost like 100, 150 in international cricket, I would say. With that foundation, I think they just everybody who came in, they just added to that total and made the score look so big, like 177 halfway through. Yes, they lost all the 10 wickets, but I think it was in the process of just going for increasing the momentum and going for more runs in the end, and maybe they lost all the 10 wickets. But again, they ended up scoring 177, which is a very good score. Top scorer again being Chetan Dushyant with 75 from 74 balls, so run a ball 75. That's always very, very welcome in DCL. So add to that 17 extras from Tamil Pasange. Like considering the huge total, 17 doesn't seem that big, but then again, 17 extras is always a very, I would consider it as a below average performance considering the extras. If you look at the bowling scorecard for Tamil Pasange, I think except for the opening bowler Satyanarayan, who got 4 wickets, all the other bowlers were a little on the higher economy rate. So I think if just one bowler is your pick of the bowlers and the rest of them are going for runs, it still doesn't help the bowling side. So I think it should be a combined effort between the bowlers so that they can restrict the opponents. That didn't happen in this game, and that really helped Indus Thunder score those 177 runs. So halfway through, I think obviously Indus Thunders would have fancied their chances, and they would have thought of an easy win. Making that statement true, I think Tamil Pasange really didn't have a good opening partnership. Also, the only notable contribution in that batting scorecard seems to be from Siddharth, 31 runs from 41 balls, and then all other scores are like single-digit scores, which tells me that there was really no partnership building at any point of time and no resistance. So eventually, they lost all the wickets and they bundled out for 82 runs in 23 and a half overs. So that gives Indus Thunders all the 5 points, and I think Indus Thunders with this win have started off their momentum, and I think this is a good run for them, and it should help them in the coming games to lay their authority on the other teams. So congrats to Indus Thunders for the win. Hey, Avi?
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
There's an echo going on.
Yeah, I think he disconnected from his phone and is joining from his computer, I believe. So, yeah, that was about that game, and I will just wait for Avi. Yeah.
Okay. Hi. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, this is much better, Avi. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. I called in through my computer again. I actually lost Wi-Fi, which is why I called in through the phone, even though I knew it's pretty crappy. But then, thankfully, I managed to get back and call in through my computer. So yeah, nicely summed up. Thank you so much, Imti. And yeah, I think a lesson for Tamil Pasanga is that if you look at Siddharth's performance, it shows that it is possible that you can apply yourself even against a quality bowling attack. So I think it's a lesson that the rest of the batsmen in Tamil Pasanga need to learn, and hopefully we'll see them doing that over the next few games. Is there still some disturbance on the line thanks to me, or?
It's better now. It sounds much better now.
I think it was okay. Yep.
Okay, cool. So I guess with that we come to the next game. I'll hand over to Abhi again. Rising Stars versus Blues.
Okay, I think this game was probably one of the closest games in this year so far. For this season, Rising Stars winning the match just by 2 runs. That's heartbreaking for Blues, I would say, because I know Blues have been pretty close to me, a pretty close team to me over the last 4 or 5 years that I was previously playing for this team. But I mean, losing by 2 runs is after playing 50 overs or close to 45 overs. My God, that's a pretty close game. Starting with the batting lineup, I think Rising Stars had got the KU probably put in a good batting show here, but 24 of just 14 balls and just playing 7 dots in that of the 14 balls. So the rest of all the 24 runs that he scored was all from the rest 7 balls. So probably just thrashed over all the bowlers, the Blues bowlers. One point I wanted to mention here is while I was looking for the scorecard, I saw so the Blues starts up the complete match with 5 wides in the first over itself. So that's really bad for the Blues with the way they started the game, and they ended up conceding 30 runs in the first 3 overs, and probably Sunil and others, the senior players of Blues, they got together, and then I see that the Blues have just considered 36 overs in the rest 9 overs. So giving Rising Stars at 66 for 3 in the break time. So that's probably a good comeback, a decent comeback by Blues in the between, because conceding 30 in the first 3 overs and then giving just 30 in the next 9 overs is probably a pretty good effort. But they couldn't get the wickets, though. They just had Rising Stars just lost 3 wickets at the break time. So they were in a pretty good shape, I would say. Rising Stars at the break, just losing 3 wickets, having 66 on board. I was kind of surprised, when having 66 on board and having 7 wickets left out, they could just manage only 90 on board at the final at the end of the innings, and they ended up not playing 3 more overs, wasting out 3 overs from the Blues side. On the batting side, again, like I mentioned, Keyur and Brijesh is another batsman who put in another 22 runs off a 38 ball, which is a well-balanced batting innings from Brijesh. But again, after that, there's literally no scoring from the middle order of the Rising Stars, in spite of they not being under the pressure. So Vikrant, Amit, they all scored less than 5 runs on an average. So that was probably the downside for the Rising Stars, and a big advantage for the Blues. Here, looking at the bowling card, I'm kind of surprised. Ravi Teja Mitta, who bowled pretty good, bowling a 1 maiden of the 3.1 overs he bowled, conceding only 8 runs, getting 4 wickets, didn't get to bowl the full quota of overs. I don't know what went there. Probably wanted him, the Blues captain wanted his overs at the end, but that didn't work out well because they conceded many runs at the end of the game. Other than that, Ravi Teja Mitta, I see Vivek Verma also conceded just 11 runs of the 5-over quota. Apart from that, Saptagiri was probably a bit expensive. And another factor of the Blues, of the 93 runs they scored, 93 runs they conceded, 22 overs they bowled about close to 12 overs of dot balls, and yet they concede 20 extras. So that's a positive time, that the positive side, that the positive point that they can take from the game. But again, conceding 20 extras in the game you cannot do that after getting after having of the 90 runs of the Rising Stars that they scored. So I think Blues have to really sit on that the extras column. They really have to work it out with 19 wides and 1 leg by. Coming back to the Blues batting, I would say with 93 on board that they had to chase. They started up pretty well. Looking at their over comparison here, they did lose a couple of wickets though, but they had a 25-run opening partnership, and then at the end of 12 overs, they already reached the score of 53 on board. So that's probably halfway done there, and they just had lost 3 wickets. And I'm surprised from there they ended up losing the game, because at this point, Rising Stars could have been on the downside here again. So if I divide the match in 4 segments of the break, the first segment was probably the Rising Stars game. The second segment, Blues came back pretty well, with just having 66 on board in the first 12 and just conceding another 30 runs in the last 13. Again, Blues wins the third segment here with 12 overs, and they just had 53. They already had 53 on board, but the fourth segment, probably the Rising Stars came back. They pulled in back the game here, because 53 for 3 from 53 for 3 to losing to 91 for 9, and they just had then they had 4 more overs to bat. I think Blues lost this game rather than, I would say, Rising Stars winning this game. They actually gave the game away to the Rising Stars, and but at the same time, I had nothing to take away from the Rising Stars. They bowled pretty well again. They just had we had Prashant Patel, who took about 5 wickets. He took 5 wickets in his 5 overs, conceding just 20 runs. I would say 20 runs, getting 5 wickets and conceding a bit 20 runs is slightly more expensive, but a nice effort from Prashant Patel to pull the game back for the Rising Stars from the Blues away. And anything else, I would say it was the batting lineup from the Blues. It was a good effort from Avinash scoring 23, and Ishwar supporting well for 10, and Nadeem Khan scoring 19 of 19. I saw this guy batting. This guy can hit huge sixes. Nadeem Khan, watch out, guys. But again, the middle order is probably what hurted this game for the Blues. Losing wickets so consistently when you're so well poised in the game, I think that's probably one thing again that Blues have to sit up here. So that's why I keep saying that Blues conceding 20 extras, in spite of getting such a bad start in the game and then middle order collapsing. That's why I say the Blues lost the game and Rising Stars captured the opportunity pretty well and they just won the game by 2 runs. Anyway, it's still a close game though. It's definitely a close game again. Looking at the what do you call the points table, both Rising Stars and Blues are at 9 points. So it's still open for both of them to qualify, and good luck for both the teams.
Nicely done, Abhi. I guess I'll accept the congratulations or the compliments for the other Avinash. And I don't seem to have too many coming my way off late in any format. So thank you. And nicely summed up. I guess the depth to which you went there is testimony to how well the DCL website is actually set up. I have been very impressed with how it captures the flow of the show very well. So whoever worked, I think it was Funny Kumar Gundamraj, right? Who's basically in charge of the website. So great job, Funny, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of us when I say that this is about the most informative website I've ever seen for a cricket league. So
I could actually add in a bit more there because 2 years back when I was there and I spoke into the DCL show, I remember all of us were just all of the panel. We just had to look at the score and just talk about, make our own assumptions on who played well or not. But with this details of the scorecard, I can actually sit at home and analyze what went wrong, what went right for the team. So it's again an amazing job by the developers and by Funny. I remember he came up with this Sports Quack and the website for this. There's a lot of effort that he put in. So nice job, Funny.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have to ask Jagan to extend the show to about 90 minutes because we can all go into a lot more detail. And sometimes it seems like 1 hour isn't enough. So I guess next up was we had the TCA Knights facing off against Canton 11, and looks like that wasn't much of a contest, to put it mildly, was it, Satish?
Yeah, absolutely right, Avi. So it was completely dominated by Canton 11. I think I expected this, but winning by 135 runs was too much.
I know.
So as I told, it's a one-sided contest. Canton 11 won the toss and they decided to bat first, obviously, and they got 175 runs, losing 7 wickets. They have got fantastic start by all the top ordering batsmen. Abrar Khan 25 runs, Javed 8 runs, Imtiaz Bhai 32 runs, Raja 36 runs, Najib 36 runs. Fantastic start. I mean, this is the ideal start any team batting first would like to have. Okay, and then they had 175 runs on board. And if you talk about TCA Knights bowling, they used 8 bowlers, and all were very expensive. None were effective to get them back onto the game. And when they started batting, 175 was I think too much for TCA Knights, and they struggled. I think from the batting side, TCA Knight, I could not see anybody, perform well. I think Murthy and Sainath was only on the double digit. And if you talk about Canton 11 batting, I think Heather Bhai has completely crushed their batting side. 5 overs, 7 wickets. I think this is the best bowling figure for this season. 7 wickets in 5 overs.
Oh, I'm very sure. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. 5 overs, 17 runs, 7 wickets. Amazing. I think he got everybody. All the top 4 batsmen he got, I think from the very first spell only he got, and then he got the tailender very quickly.
Right.
So it was all about Canton 11's game, 135 runs victory. I wish best of luck to Canton 11. I think they probably will be moving further on their table because they have a good side, and I hope I think they should be on top 5. That's it for TCA Knight Canton 11 from my side.
Oh, thank you so much, Gabaji. And yes, on behalf of all of us, congratulations, Haider. That's a spectacular performance. So, yep, do keep it up. And the other thing to note, Canton 11 has only conceded, finally, a team that's conceded single digit extras. It's an issue that so many of us have pointed out week after week. I don't know if we are only noticing it this year or if that's always been the case. The number of extras, I think, that we all concede, all of us teams, I think we really should be working on it, because that's what I was telling during one of our games. If we just hang in there, the other team is probably going to give us 15-20 runs. That's like one of their guys batting for us. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
yep,
For the mature bowling side, the extra should not be on the double digit.
absolutely.
Because already in this ball you are getting lots of run from the bat, and if you are giving more extras, actually you are putting lots of pressure on your batsman. If
Right.
you are batting second, or if you are defending, anyway, defending every extra runs are too costly. I would say, when you are defending a total.
Exactly, right. When you've set a target, you shouldn't be chasing it as well by giving extras. So that's
Exactly.
right. So yeah, that's a very good point. So next up, I guess, Imti, it's your turn to describe Dynamites versus Stingers, which I believe was a bit of a thriller.
Yes, Jagan. I think we can officially call this as an upset of the week. If I remember, like last week when we were predicting the games, everybody said it could be Dynamites all the way. But I think
I'm really honored you called me Jagan.
Oh, did I? Sorry. Okay.
No, that's fine. I couldn't resist.
Oh,
Go ahead.
wow. Okay. Yeah. So, we predicted in the last week's show where we said Dynamites would take this game very easily, win this game very easily. So, I would consider this an official upset, and kudos to Stinger's team for really putting up a hard fight and winning this game. I think if you look at the scorecards in little detail, I think it was a very closely contested game also. So I think Dynamites won the toss and they elected to field, which is a little surprising. But I think Stingers took full advantage of it and scored 116 in their allotted 25 overs. From what I heard, I think Dynamites were short on fielders for a little bit of the duration of the game. It's not because of shortage of players, but some incident during the game, and two of their players had to step out for a while and then come back to attend an injury or something like that. So I think there was that advantage for Stingers, but nevertheless, I wouldn't take away any credit from Raghu Kumar, who has been consistently scoring for Stingers. Like even in this game, he scored 44, and then he got some help from down low the order with Chetan scoring 17 runs, and then some double-digit scores very low down the order. So I think it was a very good batting performance overall. If you look at the batting scorecard, if the top three also start performing, I think Stingers will be a good batting unit combined. If you look at the combined unit. Again, like 20 extras from Dynamites also did not help in the cause, and the Stingers ended up at 116 for 9 in the allotted 25 overs. If you look at the bowling figures for Dynamites, like I said, I think Arun, who is one of their main bowlers, he did not get to bowl until the he was the last bowler used by Dynamite. So I think he was the one of the guys who stepped out in the middle of the match and then had to come back and bowl 5 overs on the trot. But maybe that his spell also cost him like 35 runs. So maybe that time out from the game did not help much for his cause. So all the bowlers like decent bowling effort, but then there is like with 4 and 5 economy rates that I see, I wouldn't say very bad, but also it's not a very good bowling scorecard. When we say Dynamites, they have a decent bowling unit, and we see good performances from them in the bowling department. But Stingers being a new team and allowing them 100 plus runs, I would say they were lacking a little bit in the bowling department. So 116 halfway mark, Dynamites would have fancied their chances considering the inexperience of Stingers, I would say, in bowling. But I think to support that fact, Dynamites I think started off very well. I don't have the details here in the scorecard, but from what I've heard about the game, Dynamites were at like 50, 55 runs for the loss of 2 wickets at the end of 12 overs. And they were very well set to win that game within like 20 overs. Like they were cruising along. Thanks to Arun, I think he was the one who scored quick runs in the beginning, and he set it up very nicely for Dynamites to win. But then I think some like that one wicket of Arun just led to a collapse for a little bit in the middle overs, and then somehow Strangers just held on to their bowling, and they kind of won this very closely contested game. So I would give full marks to Strangers team here for getting this win and surprising the Dynamites team. And I wouldn't think it is danger signs yet for Dynamites, but I think they need to win such games where they are expected to win so that they can stay in the top 5 in the pool. So I would wish both the teams good luck, and hopefully Strangers make some more of these impressive performances going forward in the league.
Yep, nicely done, Imti. Yeah, I just realized we have 6 more games to analyze, as well as the predictions with about 15-20 minutes to go. So I guess we'll try and speed up a bit. I'll keep my comments to the minimum. I guess I'm also equally guilty. So next up, I guess, is Abhi again. Southfield Super Kings taking on Indus Bolts.
Yep. So it was pretty unfortunate that we had Indus Bolts. My team ended up on the losing side. But since we are running out of time, I'll try to make it quick as possible. Southfield Super Kings, I would say, they, more than the way they played the game, they played the game. I think that they have utilized the ground conditions pretty well. I'll come back to that point a bit later. But from what they were at, because this was our game, I remember it pretty well, and they were about 12 for 4 wickets or 4 wickets down, and in about 7 or 8 overs. From there, scoring 96 was probably a phenomenal effort by the Southfield Super Kings, because the team was in pressure. And then this guy comes, Satish Nanda and Yuvraj. I know both of them from the previous games that I played for them. Played in this league. 20 scoring 20 from Satish, and then 32 for Yuvraj was pretty good. What these guys did is they played very sensible cricket, because there was a high wind factor that was in the game. That was a high wind blowing against the batsmen. So the batsmen playing, there was completely shots were cut out on the straight and the mid wicket, because the ball wasn't traveling at all, no matter how hard you hit it. But these guys played sensible. They cut down those shots. They kept pushing the runs in the gaps, and they kept getting 1s and 2s. So if you see in their batting score, there was no 4s and no 6s that were literally not scored, and yet they get 96 on board. Even though we considered only 11 extras on all the 25 overs, I would say that was a pretty good thing that we can take from this game. 11 is slightly on the higher side, because the standards that we kept for ourselves was better than this, but still 11 was a pretty good effort by us. But the middle order of what the Southfield Super Kings is what they took the game away. The bottom, again, they just couldn't score as many runs as they thought that they wanted to score. But we did a pretty decent effort by putting them down to 96 again there. From the bowling unit, it was a pretty good start by Sunil and Vikram. If you see the constant wickets that we got in between, we kept getting that wickets and kept their run rate check always in the game. But the fifth bowler is what that hurted us a lot. If you see the last 5 overs, or the fifth 5 overs from the fifth bowler, we had to make 4. We had to bowl at least 4 bowlers to cover that 5 overs. So that's probably the downside for the Indus Bolts. Coming to the batting side, when we had 96 on board, which was slightly chaseable because of the new ball that we are using in DCL, but we kept losing wickets in regular intervals. In fact, we lost 2 wickets in the first over itself. It was a very good start by the Southfield Super Kings by Manjunath, who bowled an amazing 3 over spell. 3 overs conceding just 6 runs and getting 3 wickets. And very well supported by Philip and Ramesh and Arun as well. So every bowler, they were on top of their game, because they already knew that they were going to win this game at halfway down, because we've lost almost 6 wickets at 12 at the end of 12 over mark. And it was pretty difficult for us to build it up from there. There was a pretty good, decent effort by Ashwani, Raj Sehgal, Vikram and myself, but we couldn't get over the line there. And also another fact that I wanted to get in is in our scorecard, we had about 5 batsmen who got out for duck when we had 96 on board chasing. So again, we had to sit a lot and think about what went wrong, what went right in this Indoors Bowls game and Southfield Super Kings. A good win for Southfield Super Kings. They're moving up the board in the lead, in the ranking, and we still have to work out on our points, and we have to focus on game by game, because we just made a pretty difficult life for ourselves to even qualify in this league now.
True, and actually, that's the advantage of having a first-person account, right? Those little things like the batsman and stuff like that initially. I guess next up we have Raptors versus Altair. Altair, of course, is a new team. So, Satish, what do you think happened there? Kind of one-sided again.
Yeah, another one-sided game. I think for Raptor, like this was the game where one-sided, and a team on the top, Raptor was on the top of the table and Altair was on the bottom of the table. So I think everybody expected the game will be one-sided, and it was one-sided. Raptor started with batting and they got 182 runs, and I think exceptional batting by Pradeep. He got half century, 55 runs in just 50 balls, and I think they have got a good start from their opener Amrinder and Navpreet, 29 and 18 runs they have got, and I think everybody, Sai, Aditya, they got all 20, 26 runs they have got really good start from the top order, and very well supported by the middle order batsmen. So their score was 182. And Altair bowler, I think all the bowlers, I think their first bowler was 49 runs, 5 over. I think it's very expensive. However, he got 2 wickets like Nishan. All other bowlers were very expensive. However, they were able to manage some wickets, but I think it was maybe the flow, like they were hitting and they might have got the wicket. Then Altair started with their batting while chasing 182. Always it was tough, and when you're chasing 182 and your opener got run out, Sandeep got run out, I think that is again a setback for Altair.
Right.
Their top order could not support much, but their middle order, Naveen and Varun, was able to stand for a while to get them at least 84, a little decent score. But again, it was almost 100 runs. They lost by 100 runs here. Raptor bowling, I think Kiran, everybody was figure-wise, everybody really bowled well. Kiran 3 over 8 runs, 1 wicket. Harsha got 3 wickets. Navpreet got 3 wickets. I think they got what the captain wanted from them. This is pretty much. I wish a good luck for Raptor and Altair. Altair is a new team. I hope they will learn from their mistakes and they'll come back better maybe on the next game.
Very well said. Next up, we have another first-person account. Imti, I believe you guys had a bit of a scare against the Risers. Can you take us through what happened?
Yeah, I think to summarize this game, I would say Blazers just got out of the jail luckily in this game. So they were facing their backs against the wall, and in this game, I think Blazers winning the toss, they elected to bat, and straight away were put into pressure with loss of early wickets, and then the wickets kept falling. Like at one point, they were at 20 for 6, and like most of their batsmen were back in the hut. And then I think thanks to Charan, who is a new find for the team this year, and thankfully he performed and stabilized the boat a little bit and scored those vital 29 runs in this innings with help of with some help from Saif, who stayed there for a bit without losing more wickets, and kind of a partnership brewed between them, and that kind of stabilized the innings for a little bit. But then in the process of scoring more runs, Charan got out, and then lower down the order, few important contributions from lower down the order, helping Blazers score 79 runs for the loss of 10 wickets. I think from 20 for 6 to going to 79, that kind of got the belief back in the team. But again, 79 is a very below par score, considering Risers have been very consistent in the past few games, defeating teams like Strikers and also another big team, Detroit Bulls, if I'm not wrong. I think they defeated like 2 good teams, and they were on a roll, and almost were in the process of going and recording another win against Blazers here. If you look at the bowling figures for Risers, I think Shravan, their captain, was the pick of the bowlers, picking 4 wickets for 18 runs, and well supported by Praneeth, who also picked 3 wickets. I think the constant loss of wickets did not help Blazers gain any momentum or score more runs in their batting effort. So halfway through the game, I think 79 was an okay score. Blazers still believed that they could defend this game, but I think Risers would also have fancied their chances, because 79 is very much achievable with the new format and with the new ball and with the harder ball, I would say. They started off well, Risers. They lost a wicket in the very first over, but then again, after that initial loss, Ravi and Piyush kind of put some resistance, and they were not scoring much, but then they did not lose wickets, and they made sure that they were not giving any easy breakthrough for Blazers bowlers. They stayed there for quite a bit, and then they said the next wicket only came in like 7th or 8th over, if I remember it correctly. They were trying to put up some resistance, but the runs were totally dried up, and they had that scoreboard pressure kind of mounting on them, and they tried to increase the tempo, and in the process kept losing wickets at that point. So once that opening was there for Blazers bowlers, I think they just ran over the opponent team and bundled them up for 48. Again, I would say it was a good bowling performance, but again, like if you look at, we still conceded 15 extras, which is not good considering the total was just 48, and like 15 extras in that is not a very good performance. But I think the star in the bowling department was Naresh, who picked up 3 wickets in his 4 overs just for 4 runs, and
Right.
well supported by other bowlers. Yeah, I think in the end it looks a convincing win, but on the ground it was not, for sure. So I think the Risers really played well, and they kind of deserved to win this game, but unfortunately they couldn't manage to hold on to their chance when they did bundle out us for a low score. So hard luck to them, but I wish them very good luck for the next games, and I'm pretty sure they will give some good contests to other opponents in the upcoming games.
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt about it. Well, I've just been told that unfortunately the program time for tonight can't be extended because Jagan is off site and he's not able to do it remotely. So the last set of 3 games as well as the predictions, we're probably going to have to continue tomorrow night. I request all of you to kindly try and make it to the show, both the participants as well as the listeners. I do apologize for this technical glitch that's causing us to cut this short. And at the outset, at the end, I'd just like to thank all the analysts for their rather detailed, wonderful analysis of the various games. It almost feels like we were there. And to all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I enjoyed presenting it. So until we meet again, good night, good luck, God bless, goodbye. Thank you so much for listening in, and keep tuning in again and again. Thank you so much.